All right, moving on to our main story. Well, the centre has asked all states and union territories to conduct a nationwide civil defence mock drill across 244 districts to boost preparedness against a hostile attack. This is the first such exercise since 1971 when India went to war. While 54 years later, a significant number of people are unaware of these protocols. This is why these mock drills are important. They allow citizens to learn how to act during distressing situations. We've compiled some FAQs to help you grasp the significance of these mock drills, including actions one must take when an air raid siren is heard or when a crash blackout is called, amongst many other facets. So question one that we're going to address at this point in time: what is the purpose of an air siren or a raid siren? Answer: well, it alerts the public about an imminent threat such as an airstrike, missile strike and other dangerous situation. Is what it does. Question number two: what does an air raid siren sound like? Well, it is typically high pitched. It's a wailing tone that alternates between high and low like a crescendo, and it sounds off for a little over 30 seconds. Another important question that is being asked: in case you get an air raid siren, what do you need to do? Well, the answer is immediately take shelter in the safest available location, typically the lowest part of a building, away from windows and glass and other things that could hurt you or fall on you. The next question: what to do if an air raid siren is called while I'm driving? Immediately pull over to the side of the road, shut off your engine, and if it is safe, exit the vehicle and look for shelter nearby. Another question that is asked frequently: should I cover my car headlights during crash blackouts? The answer is yes. The primary reason for that is to make your car less visible during precarious situations or when people are trying to attack you and look for you. It's obviously that one has to be conspicuous. Well, Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, former diplomat, with us on the show to talk more about this. Mr. Alok Mehta, editorial director of India News, is also now joining us. Colonel Tejendra Pal Tyagi, he's a 1971 war veteran, also joining us on the broadcast. So, Master Mukherjee, I'll begin with you. Well, ma'am, you're pretty much aware of the background. How is this, a resounding recollection of what happened in 1971? It goes on to tell you that the only reason we are getting into this situation is because our neighbor refuses to change.
Well, since we have a veteran of the 1971 war, so he would tell you, but I have a vivid recollection both of 65 and 71. In 71, I was in first year college, and I vividly remember the directions given about the blackout. About in those days, it was quite primitive. You had to put newspaper on your windows. The instructions were very simple. You had to switch off all your lights. There was curfew after 7 p.m. And the instructions, as you rightly said, is that when an air raid siren, the air raid siren only went off, in my recollection, in Delhi. I was living in Shah Jahan Road. My dad was a bureaucrat. It went off 2-3 times. That is because there was a threat, possible perceived threat near Hindon Air Base, which is not far from Delhi. And so the sirens went off. To me, they seemed to go on forever, but you said it's only for 1 minute. But it's quite scary if it's at 2 a.m. in the morning. And yes, the directions were to go to the lowest possible. So in our particular case, it was the garage. And we had already kept it prepared as per the instructions, cleaned it out, put chairs, water, torches, etc., etc. And that was the drill. But that was 71. Now warfare has completely changed. So you could have missile strikes, you could have militarized drones, etc., etc. It all depends on how much ammunition the enemy has, because we've softened him up by stopping water into Pakistan, Punjab. We have softened him up by virtually blockading Karachi harbor. We've softened them up because they don't have much supplies. What we have not been able to do, and that is impossible to do, is to control their mad generals who keep talking. And the mad generals are in a problem because they said that if India cuts off water, it's an act of war. So if it's an act of war, then go ahead and attack us. Go ahead. They did that in 71. They did that in 65. We have never attacked Pakistan. It is always Pakistan has attacked India. And as the famous saying goes, and we've said it often in your shows, Vineet, the Pakistan army, unlike the Indian army, is famous for one thing. They always lose wars and win elections. Ours is the opposite. So our army always wins all wars. So we will see what happens. But it's a good idea to have the drill because India is a very young country. What I remember vividly from 71, and I was a small kid in 65, many people, young people who are only interested in making money and going on, carrying on with their life, for them, they must understand that our freedom is precious. To safeguard it is even more important. To understand the sacrifices made by our armed forces day in and day out on the border, they should appreciate, and they should also understand that we as a nation cannot just sit back quietly when 27 innocent civilians are butchered because of their religion. So I think it's a wake-up call for young Indians who had no idea ever that of what the old folks like me went through in 71, and I was very, very young in 65, but definitely the tension which comes because there's a curfew, it's dark, you have torches, you have a feeling of uncertainty. That is something you have to go through it to understand what it means. So I am sorry that the young folks in India have to go through it, but maybe it's an important lesson to remember, as Gandhiji said, that the test of freedom is always to safeguard it. Tagore said the same thing. Many of our young folks don't even know their own history. So maybe it's also a good time, we need for them to read up on their history books or on their Google and see how India became free and what price we paid for our freedom. Vineet.
All right. Valuable thoughts, ma'am. Well, another question that is always asked in some of these FAQs is how to protect pets during air raid sirens. Well, move them indoors immediately. Pets are extremely sensitive to these noises. You know what happens to them during Diwali. Create a safe and quiet space for them and ensure they have proper identification. The next question is 10 items to have readily available before an air raid siren. And the answer is it should include a first aid kit, non-perishable food supply, sufficient water source and supplies, flashlight or a light source, personal or family ID, radio, gas, mass shelter plan, fire extinguisher, and handy cash. And of course, cash is going to be king when something like this happens. Question number 8, what signal indicates that an air raid is over? Well, all clear signal is typically sounded off. It's a steady tone or a distant sound. It indicates that an air raid threat is over. Sirens honk continuously for 30 seconds. Next question is what is a crash blackout? Well, cities may switch off visible lights to mimic a blackout condition to reduce risk of detection during nighttime airstrikes. Next question can also be what should be my immediate reaction to a crash blackout? Well, be indoors, duck under your study tables, switch off all lights and unplug non-essential appliances to prevent overload at a later stage. All right, well, we are getting our inputs from our guests who in fact have seen their share of such a situation. I'm also going to rope in Mr. Alok Mehta, editorial director of India News, and get his point of view on what's happening over here. Mr. Mehta, is this situation reminiscent of what happened in 1971? I'm sure you were a young man then. What is your recollection of what happened and how is the situation different today?
Niji, thank you very much. Because certainly at that time also I was very young, but in the very young age I started my journalism. So I was working in Hindustan Samachar. This was a Hindi agency at the time, very prominently one Hindi agency. And I was working in, at that time, the Mandi House, where now the Doordarshan is there. At the time, the Hindustan Samachar was there. Even up to emergency, 71 to 75, I was there working there. So I remember, I think this type of strike, 71 was when I was sub-editor, reporter, agency, you have to work both at the time, there were few staff members. So I remember that time, the blackout, the planes are coming, going, siren, and this kind of very scary, because in 65, certainly I was teenager in Ujjain, and at the time in Madhya Pradesh, I was not felt that, so I don't remember even that case, what was happening at the time. But now 71 was active, and even I was working on teleprinter at the time. The teleprinter we used to whole night agency, midnight or late night we were working. So at that time, what I feel, but now situation is quite different. now the satellite age, what I feel this exercise is good for the society because different kind of, we have there's the COVID, almost that was also a crisis for the whole country. These kind of, maybe it's for bordering states more important, but if bordering state is suffering and then because of this missiles and different kind of Chinese support, cyber attacks are drone, what Mukherjee also mentioned about it, I think that's why one should be ready to face, like an ambulance. We always keep ambulance, even New Delhi government again and said more ambulance will be there. Not because of the Pakistan, but just because we need, anytime we need, immediately ambulance should come. So these kind of exercise, I think it's not for panic. That's why through you and the channel and colleagues also, I'm telling, this is a different situation. Now, certainly blackout is there, but you see, it's very difficult for them to come up to Delhi or Agra or inside India because I believe, because now veteran army general with us, so he will tell Mr. Tyagi, he will tell you details that how we can safeguard, because the army, I believe, always believe, and that's why I'm very critical about the opposition, who doubt about our air force and all this, because our air force capable to counter from anywhere all the borders. So how they will reach us? But certainly, if somebody, our neighbor, means in some Jammu Kashmir, if somebody is facing, we should also learn how to fight it. Maybe somebody is there. If you do this exercise, maybe you are sitting in south or you are sitting in north or western border in Rajasthan, because Pakistan always did. You see 3 major agreements from 65, Tashkent, then you say Shimla agreement, then the Lahore agreement. Every prime minister from after independence, they were always deceived us, and then ultimately, now this is the final round. They have to surrender, like surrender what they did in 71. Either they give all these Hafiz Saeed and all the terrorist leader, and we will punish them like a kasab, but not with the judicial process. So what I feel this time, what the major question is, how much alert we should certainly, precaution should be there, like any emergency, like in medical facilities. Same thing for the security forces. And again, I will just mention the Agniveer, our NCC, Scouts, they are also trained. Pakistan should remember, they are threatening up nuclear. They can't do anything. Our cyber people are also very capable to stop them there. Or the American and Russia, they are also watching this situation. They are just talking about the nuclear because they want that Russia or America should deal with us. But they are also saying, okay, finish the terror, because they are also suffering terror all over the world. We are the only country who are facing since last 50, 60, 70 years. And that's why this is the right time when we have to just go and finish the terrorist camp. We are not going to capture. We are already in Bangladesh was free. The same thing in 65, Kargil also. We said, okay, go behind this. So this time, I think precaution like ambulance and for every medical emergency, whatever we can do, we should do as a citizen and as a patriot citizen. I think everybody is going to follow, and Pakistan, all over the world will know that how India can counter this terrorism.
All right. Well, another question that will usually be asked when a crash blackout happens, is the loss of electricity instantaneous? Well, yes. Visible lights are intentionally switched off immediately after blackout is caught. The next question, do street lights work during crash blackouts? Well, the answer is street lights are typically not designed to remain fully illuminated. To minimize potential threats, they are also switched off. The next question, can I make a phone call during crash blackouts? The answer is, in most cases, cell towers might go offline due to power cuts. Hence, phone calls may not be possible as well. Question number 14, can I use the internet during crash blackouts? The answer is, security-related crash blackout involves deliberate shutdown of electricity and telecom infrastructure to mitigate fake news and for other security reasons as well. The next question is, what if I'm in public space when a crash blackout is called? Use your phone flashlight as a source of light and seek shelter in a safe indoor space. Colonel Tejendra Pal Singh, 1971 war veteran, also with us on the show. Sir, appreciate you being here. So what are your memories of 1971, and do you think, push comes to shove, will Pakistan dare to enter the depths of India if this war escalates?
Yes, why not? Pakistan is surviving on this strategy only. The only problem is that our neighbor is a type of nation whose state policy is to enter into another country telling that we are non-state actors, but actually it is state actor, it is state policy. Had it not been so, the Pahalgam incident would not have taken place. 26 by 11 would not have taken place. The Shirdalu bus was attacked, it would not have taken place. In Kargil, we won the war just after giving sacrifice of 550 soldiers and officers. But after that, about 50,000 soldiers have laid down their lives. Why? Because of this terrorism, because of this Pakistan action of sending the terrorist in Indian territory. So Pakistan is doing it. Pakistan is surviving on it. Pakistan is keeping the Kashmir issue open just with a view so that the Pakistani army's existence is maintained. So as far as Pakistan is concerned, he is doing it for himself. Now, as dear Ambassador Mukherjee said, it is a good idea. I said, no, it is not only a good idea, it is a necessary idea, it is a crying necessity. The present generation has forgotten. We, the older generation, we, the veterans, we know that what it was in 1971 or in 1965. So, to make the new generation aware of it, even if the danger is not there, it is necessary to make them aware of it for two reasons. First reason is their own safety, the safety of their nearby people, and that is by view of sirens. Now, sirens are also of different types. You know, it may be one siren, it may be one siren, pause, second siren, it may be pause, second siren, pause, third siren. So, nomenclatures are given. The first siren gives you shutdown, means everything, particularly the which can be seen from the top, should not appear visible. It should not. It should be beyond visible, beyond visual capability. So for that, you switch off the light, and as you have rightly brought out, number of things that the vehicle lights are put off everywhere, whether it is hospital or whether it is industrial unit, whether it is a commercial establishment, everywhere the lights are off. Secondly, the camouflage. There are 800 districts in this country, but we have got the civil defense structure in only in about 250 districts. So, but even in those districts, the civil defense is asked to educate the people, keep them ready, and develop a sort of a QRT culture. When I say QRT culture, it means quick reaction team. Quick reaction team means that if there are some Sandigh people coming in somewhere, then how to lay an ambush immediately, or if you are ambushed, how to break an ambush immediately, or if there is a need, how to do patrolling of an area. And if there is such a situation that you are facing a blast, or you are facing some sort of bomb, or nowadays as the war situation has developed, now there are drones, now there are missiles, now there are unarmed vehicles. So for that, you have to not only save yourself, you have to confront such situations. So for that, elaborate thing should be done, and this is the first step. It should be continued. Now, this was my first point. The second and the most important point is this, and which I hope the ambassador and the journalist will agree with me, that there is something called tolerance. We have been told tolerance. Now, tolerance or Sahinshilta, it is good in individual character, it is good in the family, it is good in the society, but it is not good in case of a nation. Means there is a difference between individual character and the national character. The tolerance should be 100% in individual character, but in national character, the tolerance should be zero. And this is where we committed mistake. If Prithviraj Chauhan would not have let free Muhammad Ghori in the very first instance, the history of India would have been different. And he had no right, because in national character there was no room for letting Muhammad Ghori go. He should not have excused him. That is what I want to say, that when the security of the nation is at stake, then everybody, civilian or a military man, they have to ensure that whatever small or big thing where they feel that it is against the security of the nation, they should use your full might, whatever is in your hand. And if nothing is in your hand, I say to the youth today that if four young men on the street, in the open place, they look at the person whom they know that he is anti-national, and they look at him, they wear a black badge, or they spit all together. Now this is called social boycott. Now this can be done.
Right,
so to
sir.
develop this spirit, to develop the patriotic spirit, this type of drills which the government has announced now, it's an excellent idea, and it should be repeated. It should
Absolutely,
be repeated consistently after a certain time.
Right, so some more questions that could be asked, and of course the next question is, should I cover my car headlights during a crash blackout? Of course, the primary reason for that is to make your car less visible during precarious situation. Should I cover my windows during crash blackouts? Yes, it can prevent heat from entering and protect your homes from damage and enhance security. What if I'm in the elevator when a crash blackout takes place? Stay calm and use the emergency communication system in the elevator maintenance system, and these are obviously guidelines that the government will reiterate and reimpose as well. Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, before we end, I'm going to take concluding thoughts from you and Mr. Mehta as well. We are bracing ourselves for a situation most of us are not familiar with, not privy to. What can you say, ma'am?
I endorse what Colonel Tyagi said, and to say that Prithviraj Chauhan should have remembered what Krishna told Arjun in the Mahabharata when he said, pick up your arms and fight. Whether you fight or you not, or you don't fight, the army facing you will be dead before sunset. And that is what our young people should read. The Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, those books which give us the wisdom, because we are called the land of Chanakya, but sometimes I feel that we don't deserve that title anymore. I think that our young folks will benefit from this program, and I also believe that, like in 71, Vineet, when you were very small, I remember my parents telling me that there were so many what is called fifth columnists. There are so many traitors within us. Throughout its history, India, that is Bharat, has been betrayed by its own traitors. So in a warlike situation, as Colonel Tyagi rightly pointed out, as a veteran, and I'm very proud of him for having said it, we have to teach our young folks to watch out for fifth columnists, for enemies within the system, because throughout our history, we have been brought down by our own enemies. So we have to be extra vigilant. That is not given in your list of things to do and not to do. That is something which every Indian must remember, in my perspective. Thank you.
All right, ma'am. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Appreciate everybody who joined us and pitched in this important development. We take a short break. More news and updates on the other side.